If you're watching the newest season of Love is Blind and you're asking yourself the question, is love blind? I think in the newest season, season 7, we would mostly say no. And I think that's often the answer is no. Love is so much more than what we look like or sound like or share. It's all the things. But in the season called Love is Blind, the UK version, essentially, it felt like between a couple named Benaiah and Nicole, love actually was blind. And as many of you know, or I've shared a little bit here and there, two things. I have some exciting new videos coming and a lot more of them soon with some I'm just so happy to share it with you. And number 2, I've been talking about for a very long time wanting to do more interviews. And I really want to expand those to all the things that my brain thinks about and watches, from pop culture and trending shows, things like Tell Me Lies, Love is Blind, experts in psychology, autism research, ADHD research, trauma research, all of it. I've reached a point where I've made so many videos here that I want to find even more new ways to share my passion with you so that you can feel that I am excited to be here with you and not just sort of like making the videos. That really is important to me. And so I wanted to kind of let you behind the scenes a little bit with me and talk about this first interview, which I know is a bit late. Some crazy life events happened. I was already a little behind in filming it. And then for many reasons I'll share down the road, I had to hold off a bit on this video. But I really wanted to share it. Number one, because I think it is a beautiful story that unfolds. This idea where we're willing to be vulnerable and maybe our shame pops up in some way. We're willing to forgive people and make repairs. And in this particular love story on Love is Blind, if you watched it, Nicole, who you'll meet and who chose Benaiah, initially chose someone named Sam. And as a viewer, we were most of us screaming, no, what? No, don't choose Sam. He's not the right person for you, for many reasons. But she didn't hear us. She followed her own mind. And then she also realized her mind and her heart were leading her back to Benaiah. But when they meet up and it's clear she didn't go to the honeymoon with the guy, Sam, the most beautiful thing, I literally cried, is that, you know, when you watch these shows, it's always like, oh, 2 ships passing in the night, right? Like he finally realizes it, but now she's gone. We all watch all these kind of scripted and non-scripted stories. But what really happened is that he came in and she had no idea what was going to happen. She apologized, owned her part. He took accountability for his part. And then he got down on his knee and proposed to her. And I think she was truly shocked. And she talks about it in this video. And it was just so beautiful because, you know, so many of us could have had this ego like, well, you didn't choose me first, so I'm not saying yes. And then you're pining forever for someone or whatever. And so that didn't happen. And this newest season that is out right now, I cannot, for so many reasons, feel attached the way I did to the last season of Love is Blind UK. I think it's the casting. I think it's the background checks that are missing for sure. There's lots of tea right now on TikTok about the cast members and all kinds of secrets coming out. But also the editing. It's like they just drop you into a situation with no context. I don't know, from top to bottom, I felt like the UK version was incredible. And I really wanted to share this video with you. So let's meet Nicole from Love is Blind, and we'll just talk to her a bit about her experience. And I hope that you can hear how, you know, there are models and ways to make room for mistakes and to let your ego get out of the way and to truly let yourself find love. Of course, I have no idea how their love story will play out, but I do believe what we have seen has been a beautiful example of adults and their journey to find love in a way that feels, you know, real and authentic and humble and honest and open. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, good morning. I'm welcoming Nicole Grunewald-Bridi, my absolute favorite person from Love is Blind UK and my favorite couple of all time. So welcome, Nicole. It is so good to have you today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. Thank you so much for reaching out. Honestly, so grateful to be here with you and for a very open conversation.
What was happening for you? And you can share as much or as little as you want historically, but like inside that tug of war in some way. Can you share about that a little bit?
I misjudged Ben quite a lot. I think I got scared by the connection we formed very early on. And when I was seeking that reassurance that he was feeling the same way as I was, and I didn't feel like I got it from him, I took that in some ways as, you know, he maybe not be as interested. And I kind of painted this, you know, quite, bias perception that maybe he may not be on that same road as me. So yeah, I guess obviously that was wrong. That was a wrong judgment there, and I own that. Um, but yeah, definitely was seeking that, and I think with that, when you have a goal in mind and you're thinking, right, this is the kind of love I want, a love that chooses you.
Hmm.
Then when you're presented with someone who you're really strongly connected with, and they potentially you get a sense that maybe they might not be on your wavelength then and there, you get scared. And when Sam at that point was, giving me the reassurance, that, look, trust me, I will fight for this, because we had a lot of conversations around commitment and that, and in his words he was sort of wanting to take those steps. So I think that's what led me to that choice. Yeah, it just didn't feel right with me, but I just couldn't trust myself, because I think I'd been hurt before in the past, and I just thought to myself, oh, I really, want to feel secure and safe in a relationship, in the sense that someone is choosing me, and that outcome, that I guess I ignored and bypassed what were the sort of the signs that were saying, actually, this isn't quite right for me.
Sense. That makes sense. You said something like fight for me. So, this is obviously not a therapy session, but I'm a psychologist, so it's hard not to go there. But is that something that was a theme for you or something that you felt like I really need that this next time?
Yeah, I think, doing anything a second time, especially when you don't have the rose tinted glasses around what the marriage looks like, you're a bit
Yeah.
wary, aren't you? You're a bit wary about the because people fantasize about the wedding day, and it's not about the wedding day, it's about every single day after. Actually, the wedding day is when it really, really begins, that choice, that conscious choice. And I think, to be fair to Ben though, let me be real. It was very early when I asked that question. We were, I think, about day 3, when I was trying to gauge where he was out at. And I think I should have just been a bit more clear with him, and just said, look, this is how I feel. I feel a certain way. I could see us potentially getting married. I could see myself in this process getting engaged, etc. And that may be to you. Where do you stand? And I think that feels like a little bit more secure in the approach, rather than sort of me, dancing around how he feels, and then sort of getting in my head, and then sort of fleeing the other direction when I'm not getting that sense of validation. So I think that's something I recognize there. But yeah, you're right. For me, a big sort of wound was around that, like, for me, a prerequisite for me to love or want to be with someone is, do they like me? That's the first foundation. Like, how do they feel about me? um because I'm very mindful that actually relationships are about balance. And I wanted, this time around, a relationship that felt balanced, that felt like, that. And I guess, in all honesty, in the pod situations, you're not able to get that sense. You can only go by what someone is telling you. And Ben is very honest. He's very honest, and it doesn't mean that he felt any less for me, but he was trying to take a lot more of a considered approach. And I really appreciate that now, because actually it's very tempting in those pods to love bomb everyone, like, this, da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
actually he took the road of, right, let's take this slow, let's take this time, because for me this means a lot to me, so I need to be considered in how I approach it.
I love that. He seems so authentic, and those moments when you see his face and he like leans back when he's sad, when you like, I was like, oh my God. In this next part, I just really was asking Nicole to talk about what happened when she first met Sam. Because if you were watching Love is Blind UK and you see the reveal when they meet, it just feels like, oh, this isn't right. It feels awkward. And essentially, as they're parting ways, Sam just keeps asking for reassurance. And you can feel that Nicole, it's almost like you're watching her face just be like, oh my God, what did I do? And he says something like, I think I love you. I think I love you. And so I wanted to know what that was like for her.
What was happening for me was like an incongruence, right? So
Mhm.
I had my mind, which felt like you deserve better than I think in any instance. Like for someone to say, I
Yeah.
think I love you, like I know what that should feel like to me when someone professes their affection for me. I felt that actually I deserve more than someone who's not quite sure. That's not how I should have felt in that moment, because
Mhm.
something there wasn't quite right. And I got a sense that that's not how it should feel when someone is professing their affection for you. And I think
Mhm.
everything in my body was telling me that this isn't right. But I owed it to myself, and I owed it to Sam at the time to explore what that was in those pods. And that's
Mhm.
why I continued on that journey, because I wanted to give it due diligence and time to really understand what that connection was that was formed. And
Mhm.
hence I requested, that I would like to take things off camera prior to the engagement. So before the engagement, request spoke to the producers and said, look, I want to take this off camera. And luckily they had about 11 engagements, so there were enough to choose from in terms of who
Okay.
would make it to the next stage.
Okay. So when it pivoted to you meeting with Benaiah, like that moment, I thought, so many things when you watch these kind of things, you think, okay, well, he's going to say no now, or she's going to say, I don't feel that way anymore now. And it was like the whole thing took to me so much maturity for both of you. And that's what I was curious about is what do you think was happening for both of you to be vulnerable and open enough for both of you to go there and then receive each other? I mean, obviously you loved each other and there was something there, but our egos and fear, and I can't imagine cameras, like all of that. Can you
Yeah.
talk a bit about kind of what that was like for the two of you?
I'm not gonna lie. I think for me, the key thing was for me to apologize to him for hurting him first and foremost with the
Hmm.
impact of what happened. So I
Hmm.
wanted to apologize to him for the impact, not necessarily the action, but the impact
Yeah.
it had on him. So that was the goal. And as I started speaking to him, it just felt so natural, it felt so real, it felt so natural. All the things that, I loved about him in the pods just literally fell through. And yeah, and then it was like for me going into that, I knew that no matter what, however it turned out, whether or not we were going to be together or not, like I had so much love for him as an individual that his happiness meant more to me than any outcome really. So I had no expectations at all where the conversation could have gone.
Hmm.
And that's why when he proposed, I don't know if you saw my face, I was like,
Hmm.
I was in
Hmm.
shock. I was like, wow, like,
Hmm.
he's doing this. And I guess this may sound a little bit depressing, but a part of me didn't feel worthy as well. Didn't feel worthy of that proposal the first time anyway. Um and even when he did propose as well, I kind of, yeah, just this feeling of like, yeah, not feeling like good enough.
Hmm.
Um and I think that also played into things as well. And yeah, I guess the sense of guilt was, overloomed me for the few weeks that we were, in that experiment as
So
well.
had that been like a worthiness dynamic, something that obviously predated going into the show, like I asked earlier, like an old wound in some way?
Yeah, if I'm very honest, I think I was always a little bit, quirky. I was a bit of a tomboy. Used to play football. Sometimes before the age of 5, like just topless like a boy,
Mm-hmm.
with my shorts, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And like I guess I still had that mindset of like not necessarily being this stereotypically attractive person. So I think I carried that a little bit even through high school and through those times. So I think part of me just, yeah, didn't necessarily understand, what he would see in me if he did meet me and all of that. So I just thought, oh God, and then when he said all those nice, really kind words about me being, I just thought, wow,
Yes.
like
Yes.
it was just like lovely and yeah.
I love that. I love that. I just think you're such a beautiful person. I really do.
Thank you.
I just can't tell you how much it just brought me so much joy.
Oh.
When you think about, I mean, just not really speaking for him, but just in summary, what do you think is it about him that allowed him to show up and make himself available to you? I mean, obviously he was like, I don't want to lose her again. So he clearly had it in his mind, but what have you learned about him, I guess, since then that makes you understand him more in that way?
I know. Ben is a beautiful person. He has moments of like insight and accountability where it's like he can be accountable for his actions in a situation.
Hmm.
So in that situation, he recognized where there was where he could be potentially accountable for. And I think for him, I think this isn't, great, but I think for him, sometimes he can be a little bit hard on himself. And I think, because he's so aware, he wants to make things right and he wants to do the right thing. So I think for him, yeah, I think for him it was like stepping up to do what's right, which was owning his part
Hmm.
in play. That was what he would have felt was right. But also just, it's just Ben, isn't it? He's lovely and like if yeah, and we were able to have that conversation because he has a little ego. So it means that actually we can have that conversation and yeah, we can work things through. But I think he handled himself throughout with a lot of grace, with a lot of integrity, and everything he said to me, he would have said it directly to Sam, he would have said it directly to anyone else in the same way, and he never wavered from that behavior.
Yeah, that seems very consistent. I mean, I
Yeah.
that's the thing about him being, I think, so self-aware. He was able to reflect and own that moment. And I don't think that we see, to be fair, enough of that for everybody, owning their behavior and taking accountability because he just was so authentic about it, but he hadn't closed his heart off to you. I think that was what was so also so beautiful about it.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and there's also a bit of fun. Oh gosh, he's waving. He's waving there. Oh God,
We're just
scared
talking
me.
about you.
Yes, we're just talking about you, boo. Um, but yeah, it's like he made fun light of it as well, which is so helpful for me because it's like, yeah, like when I was beating myself about it, he made light of it and he made me realize that actually, like, you know, I had to take that route because otherwise I would be thinking, what if? And
So tell me a little bit about what life looks like now and essentially where things are going and where you're living and all that good stuff and working. Can you share a bit about that with me?
yeah, sure. So right now we are holidaying. We do little mini adventures, and we are staying in this lovely place.
Let me see.
And it's a little
Oh my
ski
gosh.
lodge,
Hmm.
and it's incredible. It's like stunning views, and oh, it's just stunning. We've just started. I mean, a lot of the people who've been invested in our journey, they've requested so a YouTube channel. So we've just started the YouTube channel,
Hmm.
and day job. My day job, which I'm passionate about, is marketing. And I have a business in marketing, but it's specifically for small businesses that are very ambitious. and that's what I do.
I saw Bobby and Jasmine are doing a channel too or something like that. I think I just saw
They
something on
have. They
TikTok.
have.
Yeah.
Their channel is amazing. It's lovely, and
Oh,
we
good.
spend time with them a lot. They are a great couple, and yeah,
Amazing, amazing.
thank
Well, I
you.
appreciate your time so, so much. I was just like so excited when you said yes, and I truly just loved watching the journey that you and Ben went on. And I wish you so much love and so much happiness as you continue.
Thank you so much, honestly, Dr. Kim. Thank you so much for your
So
wishes, and
thank you so much again, Nicole. And tell Ben
oh,
I said hi and have a great day. Enjoy
I
it.
will do. I will do. I'll tell him you said
All
hi.
right. Thank you so much. Take care. Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.